So the coaching staff, being year 4 of Brian Kelly, had some ups and downs so far with his tenure. The best thing that we have this season with Kelly is that there's no more excuses. I love that. We won't have no more excuses for Kelly. Like I think I credit this season as going to be a win-win situation. Either we go crazy and we run the season, or
Yes,
or like we lose a few games and then Kelly's done probably, or at least from this fan point or fan standpoint he's going to be done. So in my eyes, I think it's a win-win situation, even
it
if it
is.
even if it is a down year. But so year 4 of Kelly, I think was Frank Wilson with him all 4 years.
That's the thing I was about to say, brother. I mean, you've got so much continuity here from a coaching staff perspective. Yes, Blake Baker's only been there 2 years, but it's just his second. But Sloan 4, Frank 4, Cortez 4. Who would have thought of that? And then Brad Davis is entering his fifth year at LSU.
Yeah,
Who would have thought that that would be possible to hang on to all these guys? Jake Olson, actually him and Blake Baker, a third year at LSU proper, but second in this tenure. You've got incredible like continuity here from a coaching perspective that you just aren't going to ever get that. Corey Raymond, you bring him back finally. Huge mistake to let him go, but Kyle Williams is the newest guy there. Kevin Peoples entering his second season. It feels like he's been there for 4. Him and Kelly, man, they work so well together. And I know how much Kelly loves Kevin Peoples. I could see Kevin Peoples take over the defense if Blake Baker goes somewhere else. Just saying that, right? I just from a source, someone who really knows Kelly well, says that he loves Kevin Peoples so much and they have such a great relationship together that there is a deal where, hey, if Blake Baker goes somewhere, he was rumored to go to Tulane last year. He didn't. If he goes somewhere after this year, we win the title, he goes, Kevin Peoples is, boom, all the way to DC. And I could see that happen. That made sense to me. We'll see what happens there. But, man, Kevin Peoples, he is a defensive coordinator level coach, coaching your edge rushers.
mm-hmm.
And the same goes with like a guy like Brad Davis, Cortez Hankton. It's just across the board. There's maybe some weak spots. Safeties, man. Jake Olson. We brought in someone who's really going to help that room, though, with Lance Guidry, a former defensive coordinator at Miami, Louisiana coach through and through, who's coached for its Louisiana high school system. Guidry finally being at LSU is a huge win. He's going to be there to kind of cover up the holes that we saw with Jake Olson last year.
Yeah, man, it's an interesting fact. I actually worked on the Brad Davis, man. So I actually worked in collegiate athletics for a little bit. I did 3 seasons at the University of Arkansas as a recruiting assistant and player personnel evaluator. I
Really?
was Man, I was on the Brad Davis whenever he was at Arkansas. How crazy that is. Tell you what, Brad Davis, man, best offensive line recruiter in the country. Just, man, a dog when it comes to recruiting old linemen, and his track record speaks for itself. I'm really high on this coaching staff for this specific season. I wasn't necessarily high as the collective unit, maybe of all Kelly's first 3 years. I think this season he finally put it together. We look at Alex Atkins coming from Florida State. The run game was a huge issue last season, and
Yes.
everyone's crediting Atkins as going to be kind of maybe like opening up some run game a little bit this season. Cortez Hankton kind of gets a little bad rep with his recruiting. I think, he finally got a 5-star in cycle. Hopefully we can hold on to Keys. But I think as a development standpoint, Hankton has been a home run in the park, with Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. And I really like his development. I don't know why he gets a bad rep for wide receivers. And then Blake Baker, I think Blake Baker's the most hungriest defensive coordinator in the country right now. He's the highest paid assistant in all of college football. We got some cats like Tom Allen that he's going to face week 1 of Clemson, and like Jim Knowles and stuff like that. But in my eyes, I think Blake Baker's the hungriest defensive coordinator there in the country. Joe Sloan, I had some ups and downs on Joe Sloan last season. Joe Sloan needs to show me some more this year. I need to see a little bit better play calling. I understand the run game kind of hurt a little bit with his play calling, but I think he needs to make a better jump. Sloan. What's your thoughts on Sloan?
Man, we went into Sloan for almost like 20 minutes during the show we just did like an hour, 2 hours ago. We were like, we just went off. I really like Joe Sloan as a person. I've gotten to know him a little. He was really cool to us in the few times we've met him, and I've always like, this guy is just someone you want to root for and you want to see succeed, Joe Sloan. But last year was dog shit. I mean, the play calling was so
Ups and
anemic,
downs.
and then there was some really poor execution from our offensive players. Our offensive line was terrible at times. Guys you were surprised by making huge mistakes. So it wasn't all on Joe Sloan, but there were moments where I don't know why he had zero faith in throwing the football over the middle.
Mm-hmm.
He was almost terrified to let Nuss throw the football over the middle. When that was the strengths of your receivers, that will always be the strengths of a Louisiana receiver, is yards after catch, throw the football to them in stride and let them make plays like a running back, with the football in their hands after the yards after catching is just abilities from Louisiana receivers. LSU receivers has always been incredible. And when you don't tap into that, you're really letting your offense down. We did not do that last year. It was such a dysfunctional offense. These 5-yard out patterns where Nuss would have to complete an NFL-esque throw clear to the sideline, just barely over the outstretched fingers, and then the guy would just get tackled or step out of bounds after like a yard and a half. And it's like, what the hell are we doing calling these plays? They go nowhere. They provide nothing. And then when we did use the middle of the field, notice, we would go off for 70, 80-yard plays. Aaron Anderson against A&M.
Yep.
Some of these downfield shots. We have to do that more with this offense. Sloan, still a lot to prove. I hope he does it because he's a real cool guy. And he's obviously an aces at recruiting. But, man, this is a season that you just cannot screw this up, like you said.
I completely agree, man. I used to make fun of Sloan a lot last season on the show. Lots of out routes, lots of crossers, lots of comebacks. And now I do have some maybe I could credit it to. I don't think we had the speed last season to take it over the top, especially with Chris Hilton going down early. We'll see. I think this year he's going to have the speed to go over the top. And then, we got Trey Green and Bauer Sharp. You gotta feed them over the middle. Trey Green is one of the biggest mismatches in the country.
Absolutely.
The interior offensive line is going to be better this season. And I guess we could jump into this next topic. Yeah. Let's pull up the depth chart and, talk about a little bit of, offense and defense.
That interior O-line, like you said, I think that's going to be the strength that